Oh,
Good, and the backup audio is also recording. And
excellent.
a one, and a two, and a one, two, three, clap. Clap again. Da 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 da. That's it. That's all we need. Just
Okay.
a bunch of claps.
See,
Okay.
now instead of clapping here, I'm clapping here
That is correct, sir.
because
You
the mic
are
is here.
you passed your Starfleet engineering uh A levels.
All right. I thought it was communications, but okay. All right. Cheers. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Showing off. I
Wait,
think that.
wait. If I'm gonna show off, I must finish it and say that it has the best Picard family forever. Although I'm covering.
Oh my
Hold on,
God.
there
Where
we
did
go.
you get that?
This like on the Star Trek store.com.
The Star Trek store. Wow.
StarTrek.com has everything you all the Picard. I was told I look flashed. This is a new version of like cool or fresh. I look flash. Sean
Flash.
Sean said
Ah.
Defender of the Universe. Bow, no, no, no. Hold on. We need to have a moment. Hold on. Hey Siri, set volume to 70%.
Okay, I've changed it.
All right. Hey Siri, play Flash Gordon theme by Queen. Can we do that? Is that allowed?
Flash's theme by Queen now playing.
Is it allowed?
As long as it's under 30 seconds.
Oh, okay, 30 seconds. Is it happening? There it is. All right, we could just talk. It'll just hit us. All right, so anyways, we're here. Doctor, thank you for coming back. I'm going to start the show officially now.
All right.
And we're back on an exciting new episode of Starfleet Boy where we have a casual and informal conversation
What
about
is
Star
that
Trek.
noise? What is that insidious laugh?
Oh. Never mind that. Anyways, we're here to talk about season 6. Season 6 of Star Trek The Next Generation. The whole
Indeed.
season. It's a 9-month journey. It's a 9-month journey, Doctor.
It is.
And we have completed it at last. We're here. Nice. All right, Siri, stop before I get in trouble. Hey, Siri, stop.
You can't stop Flash.
You can't stop it. Da, 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 da. Hey, Siri, stop. You gotta stop. All right, it stopped.
Did you see the documentary, by the way, on the actor, which is essentially a documentary of Flash Gordon? It's on all the streaming platforms.
Oh, just do you remember what
and
it's called so I could put it on my?
it's ooh.
That was my timer that I set to call you in 15 minutes. Hold on. So we're early. That's cool. Hey Siri, stop timer.
It's whatever the actor of Flash Gordon is, Sam Jones.
Sam
And
Jones. I
Life
just
After Flash. That's what
All
it is.
right, I gotta check it out. By the way, I learned something. We gotta be careful with these Hey Siris.
Which you just said.
With that, we have to be. I might have to mute them out. It's like bad words. It's worse than the F word.
Yeah.
Because I got a complaint from a listener
Uh
who
huh.
listens in the car, and anytime we say that, it activates
There.
their thing,
Yeah.
and then it causes a havoc.
Oh my gosh. That's awful.
It's the worst. So actually, that's probably the last time we're gonna do that on this show. We'll have
On
to
the
figure
air.
out. We'll have to introduce things silently
Well, we
without the
could
help.
just click the button,
Yes,
right?
yes, it's true. Doctor, did you know that this is the end of a 9-month journey for us? You haven't been there for every episode, and I
No.
know you can't possibly be. It's just a production. Your schedule's very busy.
I can only do Sundays. That's
So it's fine. It's fine. I can only do Sundays once in a while. So here's the once in a while, and we're doing it epically. It's awesome. And I'm happy that you're here on this episode because it starts with Time's Arrow Part 2 and it ends here with Descent Part 1 that we just talked about. So we have a pretty good, good bit of chunk of stuff to talk about. In between that, in Starfleet Boys Season 6, we talked about Star Trek Discovery Season 2. You weren't a part of those discussions at all, and that's okay. But did you ever tune in? Did you ever watch one or two here and there? Just out of curiosity?
I feel
Yeah.
like to help support Sean, I would tune in. I feel bad for Sean. I feel he's my surrogate in those discussions, and
Well, Sean has proclaimed several times that he's down to just talk about Star Trek. So he says he enjoys the discussion. So I try to keep it lively. But yeah, it is hard if you're not into the show to to tune into anything about Star Trek Discovery. But we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about Star Trek: The Next Generation sixth season, which we remember as together when we were kids, and now we're going to go through it as adults, as well into our adulthoods, and return to some of these things. Did you happen to watch this season at all throughout?
allow and
I know.
I
I
felt like crap. I watched
Doctor,
it for no
Doctor,
reason.
this is the moment where I need to publicly apologize for being a bad, terrible friend.
No, it's
No,
fine.
I'm
It's
so
fine.
sorry
There was
about
only
that. Yeah.
one. I think that no, I mean no. Actually, to be fair, I think there were only two. There were like two or three where like, gosh, I wish I'd been on a discussion, but no.
Now you get to give now you get to give a little something to that as we
Oh,
go through the
yeah,
little taste.
it's all right. It's all right. This, by the way, you were saying, we watched this as as when we were in high school. This is going into pretty much the uh, the summer of right before my senior year, I think,
Yeah, I think so. That's right.
and it would have been your sophomore year,
Sophomore, no, it would have been my
Fresh,
freshman year.
freshman year, yeah. Because I'm looking at the dates here. This is the Times Arrow Part Two aired in September of 1992. Where were you in September of 1992?
There was a couple things going on. I think I was transitioning from middle school to high school, but
Hmm.
I met you virtually, interestingly enough, before I met you in person, because our mutual friend Ruben, remember you
Yeah.
guys met. There was this whole thing, the Galactic Heroes. We've talked about this a lot of times. By the way, is that the Inquisitor behind you there on is that the Grand Inquisitor? No, to the other side where
To
your
the other
TV is.
side.
Yeah.
What am I? Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, let's bring the Inquisitor forward. Because what I like about the Inquisitor is this serves as an alarm clock of
Oh wow.
sorts, and when it's the time that I have deemed for the time of the Inquisition.
Oh, he does the spinny thing. That's amazing.
It's a spinny thing, yeah.
He's a great design. He's that same species that we see in Clone Wars, right?
Yes.
What was that planet called?
Oh
Uh,
gosh, I don't remember.
Attack of the Clones. No, it's no, he's in Revenge of the Sith. That species or those beings.
Yes, but he's in the Clone Wars show.
Yes.
Yeah. Hmm.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't get on a Star Wars tip at all. We cannot get distracted from Star Trek.
No. So no, but going back to what you were saying. So yeah, so it's 1992. It's September, and you're going from junior high
To high
to
school.
high school, and Next Generation is something that you use to basically connect you to the high school world. You have people in high school who are already watching this show, and it is a connective thread that brings people together,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, it was crazy. I
Yeah.
wasn't doing that consciously, but you just kind of find your tribe as you grow through life, like you birds of a feather flock together, as they say.
Right. Right. So Next
But it
Generation
led,
was that show
yeah.
for us.
By the way, all of the galactic heroes minus the Empress have been on a form of Starfleet Boy podcasting. We just had the Penguin was on Drunk Space Nine, fittingly so.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so if you're interested, it's a 3.5-hour discussion. You can go and listen to it. But Starfleet Boy's overall mission has always been one of peace. Do you remember the story of S? He brings all the
Yes.
galactic heroes back together. I'm going to do it in a digital
Peace,
form.
peace through tyranny.
Oh my gosh. I was never a tyrant. Only a
Uh no.
No. I always served. I always served, my lord.
Served at the pleasure of the Empress. That is true.
Yes, that is true. And I
Yes.
still do to this day.
Long may she reign.
Oh my, we've gotten really deep into the lore of Starfleet Boy here,
Yeah.
guys.
No one's understanding this. People are fast forwarding now as
There's Humbert, there's 5 people who I've identified who have followed the entire journey, and I am in disbelief, and so that's pretty heavy. We're gonna start being held to some standards here pretty soon after after I don't know how many umpteen episodes we've done.
four or
It's pretty
five
awesome.
people.
Do you remember Times Arrow Part 1? I mean Part
Yes.
2?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah. It was
remember
terrible.
it? Wait, was it?
It was terrible. And
You
I was
didn't
on that
like it?
discussion. No, I
Yeah,
hate
I
Times
know.
Arrow.
I don't remember you not liking it. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You
All
never
right, so
remember
that's
me not liking it.
That's true. So after Time's Arrow, what was the next episode? Let's see
Realm of
here.
Fear.
Realm of Fear. That's a Barclay episode. What I liked about that episode was that we do get strange aliens, alien concept. Like it was a weird thing with the worms, and they were actually people on the transporter, and it was a good setup for the Scotty episode because it dealt with the transporter and keeping a pattern going. And so I like
Right.
that about it. And it's Barkley. I mean, you can't go wrong at the end of the day with you'll at least enjoy some of the shenanigans. So yeah, I remember liking it. I don't remember my rating though, but I remember liking that episode for sure. Then we get Crazy Troy in Man of the People.
I to this date I have not seen that episode. I have no idea what episode that is.
All right, then we can move on from that one. Then we get the epic relics. This is
Epic
such a
Relic.
meaningful. It's like a fixed point in space and time, as they would
Absolutely.
say in Doctor Who, when it comes to epic episodes. And you get Scotty and James Doohan, who's an amazing performer. But Scotty is just perfect in that episode. He's just it's like such a great point. We know it's not his last thing because he comes out
Yeah.
in First Contact, but it's still it's a good solid appearance.
Generations, not First Contact.
Scotty comes back in first. I mean, sorry, Scotty comes back in Generations.
Generations. Yes.
Yeah. It would have been great if Scotty just.
It would have been great if it just kept showing up. Oh,
he just breaks a door down. He breaks
Yeah.
a door down and has a phaser rifle, and he shoots the Borg Queen, and they're like, Scotty, and he's like, I was stowing away on the Enterprise. You didn't know I was aboard.
Oh man.
I've got to find Captain Kirk. I've got to bring him through the Nexus. We need him.
Poor Scotty. Scotty. Yeah,
Would you be happy? I have a question for you. Sorry, it's a little sidebar question. Would you be happy with the version of Captain Kirk that William Shatner brought to life if he had one more appearance in a Kelvin timeline film as that character? Like somehow Kirk meets Kirk.
Kirk meets Kirk. What Kirk
Yeah,
will he
like
meet?
Chris Pine meets William Shatner. Would you be happy with a Kelvin movie with that scenario?
Oh. Uh,
Oh man, that breaks my heart.
I don't know.
You got
We know what I like is I like the original ending that they were gonna have for the J.J. Abrams Star Trek, which would have had Kirk. Spock was gonna have like
I know
a
this. I
like a
feel like
little thing. Yeah, he was gonna have like a little thing, and it was like a speech that Kirk gave. So he's watching the crew of the Enterprise graduate, and then he's got a little reminder of his Kirk giving a speech, a graduation speech in the future. You know, I think that would have been nice because then you would have ended with Kirk's words, Shatner's words over um, over the new crew uh, blazing away for two movies.
that's true. Well, Shatner got the best last words. To them and their posterity, do we commit our?
Yeah,
I mean, come on. Those were the best. That is still the best ending to
absolutely.
an arc, if you will.
So next we have schisms.
Schisms. Scary, spooky episode. It freaks me out to this day. I know I have strong feelings about it.
Now that's another Riker.
A Riker arc.
Riker has problems.
Yep, Riker has problems.
I
Then we
think
get
that's
True Q after that.
True Q.
Good episode.
Right.
Standout performance by the young lady who plays the Q. I forget the actor's name. Oh, so bad, terrible.
Right now. You mentioned it in the original, so.
I know. Yes, we did.
Uh,
Rascals, directed by Adam Nimoy.
oh, I didn't realize it was Adam Nimoy. Wow.
Yes, he
Okay.
directed two this season. I just talked about
Nice.
one with the other one with Sean, uh, which was the penultimate episode of the season. Then we get Fists of Data, a fistful of data.
Uh-huh.
Good, fun episode. Very kid friendly.
And then the quality of life.
The exocomps, my beautiful exocomps. I wish I had a team of exocomps working in my home right now. I can't wait for the day that we have exocomps in real life. Which which I want to just point out, the first time we were watching these episodes, we dreamt of the world we live in today. Science fiction has become reality. I mean, look at what we're doing right at this moment.
Yeah, that
Just
is.
Take pause for a
Oh,
moment to look at
absolutely.
what we're doing in real time. It's insane.
It is to our 1992 selves. It would have been
This was
insane.
this was unbelievable.
Yeah.
This right here is
Yeah.
not something we ever dreamt could be real.
Yeah. But we've
Family,
taken to it very.
the Picard family forever. It must last.
It's not forever because he has the line ends with him, unless there's something in the show, which
I don't care. I don't care if it's too cliche, but I think Q owes Picard a big favor, and I think he could bring Renee back from the dead.
Oh, I don't think that. Oh, wow. Well, we'll save that for
We'll save that for
generations.
generations. It's true.
Yeah,
Renee was so young. He was too young.
too young.
I can't cry like Patrick Stewart. I'm not
No
gonna
one
even...
can cry like Patrick Stewart. Speaking of Patrick Stewart crying, Chains of Command.
Well.
Hey, that's what I'm here for, folks.
That was really
That's
good.
what I'm here for. So that's the last great two-parter of Star Trek Next Generation.
Awesome episode. We both agree, I think.
Yeah. Next, we got Ship in a Bottle, Moriarty.
Goes free.
Is that the one?
Yeah, Moriarty Part 2. The return of Moriarty and also the fate of Moriarty. We find out that he is living in a simulated universe that sits on top of Picard's desk.
Yeah.
Is it just like now a prop?
Well, I mean, the Enterprise D crashes, so Does it survive the
I'm
destruction
sure
of the D?
they just pick it up and take it to the E.
But does he even bother picking it up? Does he leave him marooned
as
on a planet?
we're nowhere near our generation's film discussion. We haven't even done Star Trek 6, but we have to talk about that the actual landing as crazy as it was a soft guided landing. Like like things are
They did
a lot
pretty
of
good
things, they did pretty good. Like the
under the
things will survive.
circumstance.
Yeah, it was like actually a really good landing.
Under the any landing you can walk away from is a great
It's a
landing.
good landing,
Is
and
a
so
good
yeah,
landing. Yeah.
exactly. So I have to say that it's safe. It's Moriarty's still around in Picard. He's probably sitting in Chateau Picard somewhere. There's a box with a bottle of wine next to it. That's what we have to look for. Um, Easter eggs. We're planting the Easter eggs for the future, Doctor.
Right.
But Ship in a Bottle was good. I liked it. It was a solid episode. And then you get Aquiel about the discordant Starfleet officer. And I don't know if we talked about it, but she might have been
Yeah, we did.
a proto kind of character that we hadn't seen before. That maybe Michael Burnham might be that kind of character. So pretty interesting.
I don't remember that in our discussion. I just remember the strange sex crystals, but okay. So, anyways, Face
That
of
is
the
not a
Enemy.
thing. That is not a thing that exists in our time.
It
But
isn't.
time crystals too. There are time crystals,
Oh
but
God,
no sex crystals, Doctor.
no, none.
Oh my God.
To our
Oh
chagrin.
goodness. That went far into the realms of drunk drunk space. We're only having coffee today on Starfleet Boy, but this is my second cup, so I might be a little overexcited here with some of these jokes. I apologize for losing my cool in advance. You're hitting them out of the park, Doctor.
Thank you.
This is gonna go really quickly. I love it. All right. Did we
And
talk about Face of the Enemy?
I was not. I don't think I was present on
Was
that discussion,
that
but
was one of the ones though that
that
you were like
was.
you wanted to be on?
Well, I think I watched it and then you did it. I don't know if I was on the discussion. I don't remember it, but I don't want to remember it.
Here.
Not
You
one
know,
of my favorite episodes.
really, you never liked this episode?
No.
Later on in the season, in the other episode that Adam Nimoy directs, which is Timescape, which we just did, some of Troy's skills that she learned in this episode come in handy, and they're pretty believable. So I like it for that. But I didn't like it at the time. I remember that. We were so annoyed by Counselor Troy often in our discussion.
I still am. I still am.
Sean made a point recently that as an adult, Counselor Troy means something different to him, and I tend to agree with that to an extent. I still disagree with a lot of her kind of methods and things like that. I think even the characters on the show kind of reflect sentiments that are like, where Picard's just like, okay, you don't have to psychoanalyze the situation, Counselor. Like the decision's just I'm okay, or like whatever. So she can be a little overbearing perhaps, and that's normal. She's a very empathic being. It's hard for her to resist that urge, but yeah, as an adult she means different things to me, and I like Marina Sirtis, and I'm really happy she's going to be in Picard. There's hints that they have a daughter together, and they named her after
well, yeah, somebody calls Riker dad, so yeah.
yeah, so there's hints of that, and well, there's hints that they're going to name her after her sister from season 7. Was that season 7, or is that this season?
No, I think it's next season.
Next season.
Yeah.
Jumbling it all up. Anyways, Troy gets a pretty good deal as far as I'm concerned when the whole story's said and done, and I like it. I don't mind. she's a hero. She's part of the Magnificent Seven. In Insurrection, by the time we get to Insurrection, when they do that epic shot of all of them standing there against the drones, who knew?
Epic.
Do you know people shoot?
Only you would call that scene epic.
Do you know people shoot drones down like in real life? Like
Yes, they
it's
do.
a
Yes,
thing. It's a real thing.
it's a real thing. Yeah, and yeah,
Your drones
Star
can be.
Trek predicted that. Yes. So Tapestry.
We did that one. It was awesome. It was a
I
fun
wasn't on that, but yeah, that's a good.
You weren't on that episode?
I don't on that episode. No.
Oh, I have you on in my mind because we talked it. We've
Oh, we've
always
talked
talked
about
about
it.
this.
Yeah.
We
No, but
talked.
that's a classic. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Birthright Part 1.
And
Data
2.
Dreaming.
Uh-huh. Ed Worf saving Romulan Klingon children.
The children.
No.
The children of the revolution. The children of Kittimer. They are. They're the children of Kittimer, I guess.
The T-Rex song is playing in my head now.
Don't you want food, children of Kittimer?
Oh, God. That's so good.
Children of the Kittimer.
Oh, T-Rex channeled in its original Klingon.
In its
you
original
must
Klingon.
listen. Yes, there we go. And then we have Die Hard on the Enterprise, Starship Mine.
Seeing Captain Picard can do action pretty well, I have to say.
And then we've got Lessons, where it's Picard doing what do we call? I don't know. What do we call lessons? It's
romance. It's
Look, folks, he can do action and romance.
He can do
He
it
can do
all.
everything.
Come on, you have to. You don't love Lessons?
I hate lessons.
You hate Lessons?
I hate lessons.
Oh no, I'm remembering. I'm having traumas right now. There's real-time trauma happening right now because I'm remembering how much you hated this season. Whoa.
I didn't really like Starship Mine either, but then there's the Chase.
But some of these are better. Like Descent Part 1 are a little better over time. You can deal with them differently when you watch them. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I hear what you're saying.
The Chase.
Wow, the Chase. Awesome. Another fixed point in time because it actually does whether you like this episode or not, it does a great job of explaining a Star Trek anomaly, which is that most sentient life forms are humanoid in shape in the Star Trek universe. In the Star Trek galaxy.
I would say most sentient life, next generation onwards.
Right, is humanoid.
Because I think the original show the original show had more variety of life.
Hey, that is kind of true. I kind of feel that's true.
Yeah,
without having rewatched the original series in a long time. Yeah, it's true. Good point, Doctor. They become very humanoid centric in the TNG era. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The very word is racist, Doctor. Frame of Mind, another Riker going crazy episode, but this one's really dark and it kind of messes with my frame of mind when I watch it.
Really? I love this episode. I think it's great.
I don't like to be frightened in that way. It's why I won't go see the Joker. I don't know if I can see the Joker. I'm having trouble.
I watched the Joker. No, you can see the Joker. It's fine.
Why am I so sensitive? I wasn't like that as a kid. What happened to me?
Our sensitivities change as we get older.
That's true. I guess that's true. Interesting.
Life experiences, I guess.
And that was our deep moment. You do look like you have an uncanny resemblance to, by the way, not Mark Hamill, but Luke Skywalker aged whatever he is in The Last Jedi.
He's dead, so
there you go.
I look like dead.
You look like dead Luke Skywalker.
I'm gonna tell Emma that.
I look at your face and I'm just like, oh my god, it's Luke Skywalker. It's a deep fake, as they like. Did you watch that, by the way? Did I send it to you?
No, you haven't sent it to me.
Oh, jeez. We should watch it. We should stop and watch it. and
Well,
we'll watch
let's
it.
get through this.
Let's get through this.
Get through this.
This is the weirdest
Next year,
season
I'll be the
recap
dad.
we've ever done
Oh.
on Starfleet Boy. But I like it. I like the flow. Actually, it's very
Next
good.
year, I'll be that Luke Skywalker instead of the Demogorgon.
Oh, that's a good costume though. You paint yourself like a dusty blue, and like so you glow. It'll be nice. Force Ghost Luke, dead Luke. Suspicion. I've force questions for you after we finish our Star Trek discussion. By the way, this all reminded me. I have a lot of force. There's a lot of force questions that I need you to answer.
Don't force your questions on me.
Hey, force yourself. That's what Harrison
Force
Ford said
yourself.
to me, and I've never. That is
forgotten
the
that.
best advice I've ever gotten in my life. It was a
Barbara
wake up moment.
Walters. Yeah.
Yes,
Would
it was
you
a
ever
wake up
play?
moment.
Yeah. Mhm.
It was a wake up moment for me as a fan when Harrison Ford just
was.
said "force yourself." I was like, "Of course." Like,
Right.
this man is a genius. He changed. It was heartbreaking too at the same time because I wanted.
Was.
I didn't want to force myself, but I did. I had to do it. Set the alarm.
Force yourself.
Force yourself. That was better than fuck yourself.
Yeah, it really was.
It was
really
the best way to say leave me alone. Just
Yeah.
guys, let me be the president, and I promise you'll love it. I'm gonna be the president. I'm not gonna be Indiana Jones. I'm not gonna be.
Get off my plane.
I'm not gonna be Han Solo, but you're gonna love it. I'm gonna be the president of the United States. And damn, is he ever? I would vote if we're
I'd
in an
vote for
absurd.
Harrison. Yeah.
If we're in an absurd place in our democracy where actors and businessmen and anyone could be president, let's just go all the way.
Why not? Let's just get Harrison Ford in there.
Let's get Harrison Ford to be the president. I'm totally down for that as well.
Get
All right,
off my plane.
get off my plane. Tear down that wall.
Ah.
Tear down that wall. That'll be his campaign, his stance. Anyways, suspicions.
That's the. I always hear the Elvis song in my head whenever I. Suspicious
We
mind.
can't fly through space together with suspicious minds. Oh my gosh.
What if Elvis had been on Star Trek?
It would have been amazing. What if I Dream of Jeannie did a crossover with Star Trek?
Oh.
How cool would that?
Barbara
Dr. McCoy would have been perfect for that as the guest star on the I Dream of Jeannie side.
Wow.
It could have been a side mission from when they go back
so
into
Kirk beds.
the genie, of course.
Oh my God.
Of course.
But then he wakes up and it's not her, it's the sister. It's the evil genie. Isn't there an evil genie? Or is that Bewitched?
No,
I know
there's
in Bewitched there's an evil
they
Sam
both have,
too. They both have a okay. All
an
right.
evil twin. Everyone has
All
an evil twin,
Everyone
which we're
has an
gonna
evil
talk. Data has an evil twin. Picard has an evil twin. Riker turns out to have a not so nice twin. He's not the greatest.
Right. That's not yet. That's in.
No, I know, but we meet Thomas Riker in this season.
Yes, we do.
Anyways, so wow, this is actually this is the greatest season recap we've ever done. There's so much tying in. Good job, Doctor. I can't believe we went to I Dream of Jeannie. The Space Coast.
So
Which, by the way, we technically broadcast from just below the Space Coast.
That's right. That is correct.
Which is kind of cool. So we go on to Rightful Heir, The Return of Kahless, the second Return of Kahless. Because as Sean is, I hadn't watched it. I didn't do my due diligence, so I didn't watch the first Return of Kahless since I was probably a kid.
That's the one
with Abraham Lincoln.
With Lincoln, right?
It's the best episode of Star Trek, the original series. There's so many bad things about it, but there's so many great things.
Spock. Help me, Spock. Like,
It's the worst. It's the worst bad episode
I love that episode.
of Star Trek: The Original Series.
I adore that episode. It's a
I
10.
do too.
I'm already saying it's a 10.
All right.
We're not even reviewing the show, but I'm telling you, that's a 10 for me.
So
That's where my 10s began on the
so
original show.
here we have with Rightful Heir, here we have the defining line that there are differences between the Klingons of old and the Klingons of TNG. So the Kalises don't match up at all.
No, they don't.
But we have a good excuse. It was from the mind of Spock and Kirk. So
Right. So they had only seen
these
Klingons
racist
in this.
this racist light. It's
Right,
true.
right. Although
So,
Spock, if you believe Discovery, had seen Klingons who looked different, but of course Spock conveniently forgot those Klingons for the just
There's
like
a
he
con-
forgot his sister, and because we've all forgotten his sister.
this is we
Spock said so. We have to forget his sister.
in a nutshell, this is the conundrum of Star Trek Discovery. But we're not going to get our blood pressures raised today.
No, no.
We're not going to talk about Star
No.
Trek Discovery.
We're not going to talk about Judy. No.
About what?
That's a Twin Peaks reference, Judy. Where
Oh,
David Bowie's great line. I'm not talking about Judy. We're not here to talk about Judy.
I forgot that. I got to rewatch. Someone at work wore a Laura Palmer shirt, and I knew exactly what it was, and they were
Really?
totally surprised. It was really nice to see, though, that the
What
things
was
are
on the shirt?
Laura Palmer.
Like wrapped in plastic?
No, her picture, her like high school.
Oh, the high
whatever.
school one. Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was
All
great.
right. Yeah, that's allowable. Okay. It's a little creepy to have her wrapped in plastic.
Don't.
That's a great
I can't do the song,
No.
but it's such a great theme.
It's a
You just
great
have to
theme.
play it. Oh my gosh, I have to do it. I have to do
No.
it.
No.
I have to do
Don't
it.
do it. Don't go.
Play the Twin Peaks main theme. There we go. See, I didn't say the thing.
Okay, good.
I pushed the button.
You pressed the button.
So good. All right. So now from that we'll move on from. Do you have anything to say about Rightful Heir? Did you like that episode?
I don't remember anything.
You have no memory of it. Gowron's in it. He's great.
Yeah, 30-second.
There's a lot of good movies.
I don't want to get sued by CBS.
You won't.
Well,
the captain goes down with the ship.
okay, but still,
You won't be in trouble.
I don't want you to get sued.
I'm completely subservient to CBS and Paramount and Star Trek. There's no.
As your reviews of Star Trek Discovery clearly show.
Well done. Second Chances comes next. Second Chances is Thomas Riker. You were not there for that discussion either.
No, I wasn't.
What did you think of that episode? I don't remember your initial.
I liked him what I remember more is I liked his appearance on Deep Space Nine, which I guess would have been next season. And I was curious as to why they didn't continue to bring Thomas Riker back. I thought it was an interesting, once again, the transporter, right?
Yeah.
The transporter seems to be, the whole thing with
very troublesome.
Yeah, the whole thing with these end of season episodes, things that we do here, discussions, is I like to see what are the different thematic elements that keep coming up. And I think you pointed out that this season is like the season of the transporter. We've got Thomas Riker coming out of it. We have Scotty coming out of it. We've got monsters in the Barkley episode.
Yep.
I don't know if there's any other things that happen.
So you're saying it's a big season for like transporter lore in a sense, like this was
I think we really
interesting.
They kind of double down, and in a way, the Moriarty episode kind of ties into it because
the whole point is to transport him out of the holodeck, and he thinks that's possible. Yeah, through the transporter, they can rematerialize them. Hey, that's a great. You're absolutely right. That is a huge technological kind of thread that weaves its way through the season. Good call. Good. Good,
So
good one.
yeah, and
But
then
in
that.
Second Chances, you were gonna say I think that you like him better in the Deep Space Nine follow-up, where he comes
Well,
back
no, I
again.
remember that better is what I
Oh,
meant to
you
say.
haven't seen it. I saw it
I
recently.
Yeah, I
It's
haven't seen.
heartbreaking.
Well, because he's in love. Because his what I do recall vaguely, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is that this Riker still
Thomas
has
Riker.
Thomas Riker has feelings for Troy that are more akin to uh, season one or pre-season one, right?
Right.
And Troy has difficulty dealing with that, and
Well, he
I
throws
don't
he
remember how Riker deals with
in
it.
Deep Space Nine he throws all that out the window and he's totally after Major Kira.
Well, yeah,
Uh, of course. But
who's
he also joined
the
spoilers audience
Marquis?
for
Yeah,
the Maquis. Yeah, he was
yeah,
also a member of the Maquis and he just kind of like went radical, which is a surprise to be sure.
yeah. No, no. I
uh,
think
it was I think Thomas Riker also we talk about potentialities of important episodes for Picard. He may play a role yet again in Picard. I think he may come back at some point, if not in this season, maybe in a later season. I wouldn't mind a follow up for that character just to see where he's at. Did he serve time in prison, like which he did on Cardassia? Did he survive that? Like what is the state of the last thing we know is he's handed over to the Cardassians, and Cisco's like, "We'll try to get you back. Sorry, dude."
and they never do.
I if I recall, yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah,
The fate unknown of Thomas Riker, but good character. I think he's awesome.
yeah. And
Very
then we have
nice.
Timescape, which you
Just
said you
did.
just did. I don't remember what episode that is.
It's the episode where the a Romulan ship is doing some kind of procedure or experiment, and it shuts down their core. So they send out a distress signal. The Enterprise comes to meet them, and they they do a power transfer, and it causes a temporal fracture in space time. But the episode actually starts on a runabout where like Troy, Geordi, and Picard are traveling back from like a conference,
Oh, and they see the
and
Enterprise
like
destroyed.
yeah, well they also experience the time bubbles, like where his hand grows,
Okay.
the nails grow, and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then they get the bends, like the time bends or whatever, and Picard, there's a warp core breach in progress, all kinds of crazy stuff, but they are able to, you know, through shenanigans, they're able to save save the
I
day.
vaguely remember this one. Yes.
Yeah, it's a good. I actually love this episode. That episode, I think I gave it a 9.5, if I'm not mistaken. Hey,
The things that happen
knowing
when I'm away.
knowing what you know about me, that's pretty tough stuff, right? I didn't just
Yeah.
go all the way to 10. No, that's the other one that Adam Nimoy directed, and it's directed superbly. I don't fault it for any of that. Overall, I think that like the transporter thing that you said is compelling, but for season 6, like even though it's beloved to me for a lot of nostalgic reasons, and like watching these episodes again reminds me of so many fun adventures in my teenage uh years. I see a lot of things now that could have made it a more amazing experience, but of course that's with the goggles of 2020 hindsight vision, and so I got to give it a little credit. But overall, I think that the season was a winner. It didn't bomb. I think there were a lot of cool ideas that were presented that sadly back then didn't go anywhere, but now have the potential to find some kind of completion in the future of Star Trek.
Well, looking at the season as a whole, the things I always like to look to study are uh, who comes back, what characters from this season return in one way or another, and what ideas or characters are in the season that we wish had come back.
I was
And
heartbroken when I found out that Guinan is not in season 7. I totally imagined her in season 7.
wait, isn't she in the one where they turn into kids?
That already happened? That was Rascals.
That's in season. Oh, you're
That
talking about
was this
season
season.
7.
Yeah, next
Oh, okay.
season.
Sorry. I
I
didn't
was
hear you say 7.
heartbroken. I don't know why I remembered that she was in season 7.
Oh,
Isn't
that's
that
curious.
crazy?
I
Yeah,
didn't know
isn't that
that.
crazy? I was
Okay.
heartbroken to find that out.
So this is the last season where we see Guinan? Is that what
Until
you're saying?
yeah, we don't see her again until Generations.
Really? Oh, it's
Yeah,
extraordinary. Okay.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, one thing that I noticed is that this is a season without Troy's mom. We don't have an episode where Troy's mom comes back, right?
I don't remember her coming back. That's right.
Which is
It,
and this she
I
is
think
this
I think
that's an annual tradition.
it's true.
And
Maybe it was too close to when we lost Gene Roddenberry. I think it was around this time as well, if I'm not mistaken.
well, this is the first season to air concurrent with Deep Space Nine.
Right.
So
She was on Deep Space Nine,
she was on Deep Space Nine.
and that's a great episode, I think.
Yeah. So we have um so yeah so we have her going over there. We have Q appearing.
I'm starting to remember something very interesting that there's no way to convey anymore because it's all available at once. But at the time, there's little things like in in Timescape we remarked that during our discussion we remarked about the runabout. Like all of a sudden the Enterprise had a runabout that was like a part of its inventory. And but when I originally watched it, it was so natural because I already knew what we were watching two Star Trek shows at the same time basically for a little while. Because
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine and TNG both were running concurrently.
Yeah.
So it's kind of you can't repeat that easily. You have to like really time your rewatch of these things to like repeat that experience. I think it was a great experience. I have to say that that's something I remember fondly about Star Trek in this time as well.
Well, what I hated was the fact that we weren't able to have that with Voyager because even though Voyager ran concurrent with Deep Space Nine, Voyager being all the way out there, never, there was just no connection between the two shows really. If you think about it, the whole Dominion War had no impact whatsoever on Voyager, and then when the show that followed Voyager couldn't have any connection because it was a prequel.
Right.
So you could have Enterprise, and I don't know if no, they waited till Voyager was over and then they ran Enterprise. So you're right. This is really the only time. Excuse me. This is the only time where we have two Star Trek shows, you know, concurrent like this, and next season as well. Next season, I think we feel it a little bit more too.
Even more with Ensign Rowe.
Right. Well, with I know there's a two-parter where Bashir comes aboard.
Oh yeah, the Dream.
Or is that this season?
Wait, that was this season.
Oh, that's this season?
That already happened. Yeah,
that
was
already
this
happened.
season.
Oh, see, I didn't see that. Okay, well that's cool.
Yeah, it's already happened. It's
okay.
happening.
Oh, okay. Well that's
Yeah.
something. Yeah, well that's something to point out, which is that this is, you feel the Star Trek universe growing right now at this moment. Because we have the two shows. We've just had the movies. We just had, Star Trek 6 was about a year or so in the past, and we know that Generations is coming.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel the old generation also of Star Trek because the Scotty episode,
Right.
which brings Scotty.
And we do get like interestingly, Voyager does deliver, and I'm fond of that episode. We get a Captain Sulu follow up on Voyager, and I really I know that it's a real
That's
stretch.
The best episode.
It's a stretch sometimes, like to connect these things, like Tuvok being on both, ships. Like that was like I remember a little interesting. But it was the same actor, Tim Russ, to play
Yeah,
both parts. So it was actually kind of awesome that
yeah.
we were able to make that connection. And it gave like that character like an I think that Tuvok, looking at him, again, I don't know the complete story, but from what I've seen, like I think Tuvok is already my favorite character on Voyager, and I think for people who have Spock fatigue, I think Tuvok is an interesting character to invest time in because there's so many interesting things. And the same, I have to say the same. I love the Vulcans, so I have to say the same for T'Pol. To me, T'Pol is so interesting and engaging. She is for me in many ways the saving grace of Enterprise, which I kind of don't love. You know what I mean? Like it's an interesting thing. So Tuvok for the win.
All
Uh,
right.
that might be the way you get through it, Doctor. You
I'm
could
not
just
there yet. I'm not there yet. We're still on season 6. So let me ask
we
you:
just came fresh. Well, we just got to wrap it up and say we just came fresh off our discussion of Descent Part 1,
uh,
which we originally didn't like, but then upon rewatching, we like it more than originally. And you gave it like an 8, and I gave it like a 9. So it was around that. 7. You gave it a
I gave it a
7.
7, and you gave it an 8.
An 8. I can't remember.
Now, one thing that I've noticed is that, and this is different than previous seasons, is that there's more two-parters because we've this season. Well, we obviously have a two-parter ending in the beginning of the season, and then we're going to have a cliffhanger. So that's two-parters associated with the season. But then we've
Right.
got 2 in the middle. We've got Chains of
Yeah,
Command,
Birthright,
and then we
Chains of
got
Command.
Birthright.
Yep.
So I feel that um, this season shows something of a maturity in because I think when you have longer arcs going in a show and less standalone one episode, everything ends and we move on. I think when we have longer arcs working in a show, that's a sign of maturity. And you know we see Next Generation beginning to adapt that, which I was happy to see. That was something that I liked, as well as we do. I've just glancing at it, we see a number of returns this season. We obviously see
Lore,
we see Laura return at the end of the season.
Q,
We see Q return. We saw Barclay return.
the
We
Cardassians,
we saw
kind
the
of.
Cardassians evolve.
Yeah.
Um, we saw, let's see, well, I think the
And actually,
biggest.
Q's in this season twice because he's in True Q and Tapestry.
What did you? Because I wasn't privy to that discussion. What did you guys think of the fact that the episode title did not include Q? What are your thoughts on that? That's
Mm.
the only, with the exception of the pilot and the finale, that doesn't have.
Mechanically, I think that's interesting if there was any thought given to this and they like intentionally just chose not to put Q in there because perhaps they were like, oh, well, we don't have a Troy episode this season. Let's do a second Q episode, but let's just call it. It's just like a surprise Q episode that you forget is a Q episode. Because it is also an unusual Q episode. And you remarked that this is where Q changes, kind of, I think.
Q is different in this episode.
Yeah. So yeah,
Q
I don't
is
know.
less. Q becomes comic. He kind of is a bit. Not want to say comical, but he's lighter than he is. He's less menacing, let's say, than he
Yeah.
is in his initial appearance. And
Would you be happy with the return of Q in Star Trek Picard? Is that something you're rooting for, or is that something you could care
I
one
would
way or
not. I
another?
would not want to see it. I think the
You don't want to
finale.
see Q
I
back.
think that I think the ending of Next Generation, the show, ties in bookends so well with the pilot that to add an epilogue, I think just is it's desperate. I really do. I wouldn't want to
Interesting.
ruin it. I don't want to
Oh,
ruin it.
that breaks my heart.
But why? But you
I
have
feel.
it's already perfect. Why do you want to mess with perfection? Why, if you have something that's perfect, why do you want to mess with it? See,
Well,
I
the thing,
think of it. I would
the great
be
the
sad.
great thing. Wait, hold on. The great thing, continuity wise, about sequels is that if they don't work, you don't have to pay attention
No,
to
but
them.
it happens, and you have that lingering aftertaste, like, oh, but then there was that, like, no, I would prefer to go the way of the people who make Back to the Future, which is that it's stipulated in their wills that they have to wait at least I think it's 20 or 25 years after the death
Really?
of any of all the creators, Bob Gale, Zemeckis, and the third guy. Universal cannot do a thing until 20 to 25
Uh,
years after their death.
that's great.
So that means that people
How did we go from what we were
we
talking
will
about
never
to
see
this?
it.
How-
It is ensuring that you and I will never be privy to anything. And that what a
to
gift that is to
to
us,
reboot.
to the
Okay,
original audience.
just hold your horses for a second. We got to get back to season 6. But
Okay.
the only counter I will give is that at least it's the same people. It's like if Zemeckis was making a mistake. It's not okay, but at least he you know what I mean? Like it's the same people. So,
But you can
Picard is
sometimes get the same people and they screw up.
that but I say
Escape from
I say
LA is Kurt
all
Russell,
right, all
John
right.
Carpenter. No. No, 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 no.
All
Suck
right,
it.
no worries. Wow, we
So
got so heated. That was such a trigger. I couldn't believe how much triggering.
no Q. I'm in the never Q. Uh,
Never Q. That's a cool
no,
episode
not never
title.
Q.
Never Q is the best. They're gonna defeat. That's it. You've done it now. You put it on the record. You just created the title for the episode. It's called Never Q, and that's when he returns. Wonderfully done, Doctor. Wonderfully done. Never say Q again.
Incorrigible. You really are.
I don't know
Really
how I
are.
feel about Star Trek, but I know that was a great Starfleet boy moment. So thank you very much. Do we want to rate the season? Do you have any more points
Yes, I
to
want to
go?
ask you: is there
Yeah.
any characters that were introduced this season that you would have liked to have seen return again? Even though there's only one more season left of Next Generation, but would you maybe in Deep Space Nine or in was there a character that resonated with you where you're
I
like,
know you didn't
God,
like
why
this
didn't they go
episode.
back?
I know you didn't like this episode, but I did lament about Darren, Commander Darren, who in lessons who Picard has a tryst
Oh, okay.
with. And so I did lament that the solution of the episode was that she has to be on another starship. Like they can't, so she can never come back. He's like, if we can't be lovers, we can't be anything. Get off my bridge. It was like one of those situations. So I lamented that we never saw her again. But at the same time, we also discovered that the actor who, speaking of what we were just speaking of, and rightfully so, the actor who played Darren died, and we found that out during
Holy
the
crap.
discussion. Yeah, so she can't return. We
But wait,
speculated about
when did she pass out? Recently
it.
or?
It was not too long ago. I would
Oh,
say
okay.
within the last 10 years. Yeah, so um, yeah, very sad to hear that. And I kind of thought like that's when you retired the jersey, as you say, for 25 years or 30 years. So I kind of agreed that we don't need to see that character. Oh, look at this! A burger, a burger has magically arrived. This is for
Oh,
Trek, a Trek on the Tube moment. This is a halal burger that my
there
mom
we
made,
go.
and so we gotta end the episode soon, Doctor. I gotta eat this before it gets
Yes, that's
cold.
true. That's true. All
Oh,
right.
that's so
Well then,
nice. But that's a great question. Can I hear your answer for that question from what you remember of the season?
I would say not a character, but I wish the chase had resonated more. The events of the chase. I feel that that's an episode that has gone un the repercussions of it have gone unfelt and unexplored in the
Do you
greater Star Trek universe.
Do you think we talked about it? I think when we watched
At
we
length.
watched that, we talked about it at length.
Yeah.
But do you think question I don't know if I asked at the time was like maybe the humor was off, the Klingon character and his kind of like bumbling ways is what
Yeah. Oh, I
like,
agree with you, and I pointed
yeah,
that out. But still,
yeah,
the repercussions of that discovery, I feel, never really went beyond the confines of that episode, and
right.
I lament that. I think that's something that future shows or whatever could have addressed. And then the thing that the surprise I feel is always a surprise return. Like nobody was counting on seeing the giant crystal tree that Data always that lore is always going around the crystalline entity. I was not expecting to see Moriarty return, and I think I have mixed feelings overall. I if we had as the idea was to have had Sherlock Holmes, the Hollow program kind of go every season, then I think it would have been cool. But to just have Moriarty come back, the next to last season, I would have preferred to have seen something else return rather than I wasn't looking for a sequel to that. I'd rather have another
Just
Dixon Hill. You know.
wonder if Picard still does that. That'll be a really interesting little take if we see him do a Dixon Hill to blow off some steam at some point. And it's just it'll be totally different in tone. It's an older Picard, so he's not going to be as like he's not going to bolt off running when it'll be a little different Dixon, but it'll be interesting to see a follow up to that because he is his alter ego, and I think
That's
it
right.
sticks out. I think he sticks out. It sticks out, and you remember that. And it's kind of the proto thing that they do later in Voyager with Captain Proton or whatever it is. It's like a similar vibe. Wow, okay. We can't stray off the seasons. The Doctor gets triggered so easily. Like I don't want to get you. I'm already pushing the limits, Doctor, with your time here. So
Well,
I gotta.
you gotta have your burger. So let's
All
call it.
right. All right, so I'll go first. As a rating for this season, I really enjoyed it more than I didn't enjoy it, and I'm just apt to say that it's a 8 for me as a season. I think it should be an 8.
Wow.
I'll start eating.
I think. I mean, there's some pretty crappy episodes, but I mean, just at a glance, and I'm saying this just at a glance, I'm seeing a lot of episodes that are pretty good, above average, and average, and less. I feel like there's not as many really bad episodes. So I would give this a 7. I would give this a 7. I think this is probably the last good. This is the last good season of Next Generation. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. This is the last good season of Next Generation.
Wow, hold on a second. Okay. I'm chewing. I'm sorry. It's so
No,
terrible.
no, no, it's fine.
So unprofessional. I must admit I'm shocked. I thought you were going to give it a lower score, so I'm pretty
I
satisfied.
think I've given other seasons. Maybe I have. I don't know.
I don't
But
remember.
I don't remember. I don't remember rating the seasons.
Our rating system's from the gut. It
Okay.
changes.
Well, this is the
It's
last
just
good
like
season of Next Generation.
we
I'll
do
say.
have a database human, a person who's going
Who's
through
that?
our. It's a person who from the internet who wants to just do a little extra credit work, and so
Giving community service hours?
yeah, it's I don't know. I'm signing documents though. But anyways, they're going back through and they're gonna help me redo all the descriptions so that they're accurate and crediting people. They're just gonna be really detailed because this is an archive. This is a lot of work we've done. We've done a lot of work. There's a lot of data here, so we'll be able to do cool charts on our state of Star Trek discussions that we used to do. Remember those? When it was easier to keep track of these things in our minds.
Yeah.
It was great. We can do
Yeah.
those again with charts.
Wow. So there's a person who's doing this? Are you paying this
I
person?
Nope. Database boy works just for me for the kindness. It's a kindness, like in that Doctor Who episode. It's a kindness.
Kindness.
It's a kindness.
I don't know if I'd describe it as a kindness.
We get a lot of volunteer requests on Starfleet Boy, and I turn like 99% of them down because I can't feel good about managing a volunteer staff or anything like that. But,
Yeah.
you know,
Wow.
but this
Well,
person
I
was
I
persistent.
honestly I give that person um I guess a genuine thank you because I
I'll
can't
invite you to
imagine
the I'll invite you to the Google Doc.
anybody.
You can contribute if you want to.
That's crazy.
There's a Google
Wow.
Doc. This person already created Database Boy. That's the credit they want. I can't
Uh-huh.
say the real name. So
Database.
Database Boy was a fan of Starfleet Boy from the beginning,
Uh-huh.
and now does these little wants to improve the Starfleet Boy channel. And I agree
Wow.
with the suggestions. Like the descriptions should be better. Like they should be a little bit more, like so you can go back and watch a topic or something like that. It might be fun.
I'm shocked.
Just,
Okay. You got your burger?
I got my burger. I'm gonna say goodbye now. So audience, thanks for sticking with us. We'll see you again whenever we do. We're gonna talk about it offline, but we're gonna find out when we're gonna do Descent Part 2, and
Right.
then we'll talk about that. But thank you for tuning in to our season discussion. I'm overall very happy with the ranking that we both gave, so I'm pretty pleased. And live long and prosper, Doctor, and we'll see you next time. All right, I'm gonna
Okay.
stop the recording. Stop.